One Focus Radio.
Welcome to the show, it's Dyer's Daily. Keeping in the know, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got chat, we've got discussion, nice and slow, ain't no rushing, reading emails and events. Sometimes he makes no sense. It's time to start the show, it's Dyer's Daily. He'll be there in a mo, it's Dyer's Daily. We've got plays, we've got interviews, even stuff that's in the news. Local and otherwise, come and try it on for size, it's Dyer's Daily.
Hello and welcome to the podcast for Tuesday the 27th of November 2018. My name's Jamie Dyer. Be sure to join me for the next 10 minutes or so as we talk about Disney movies, reboots and other sorts of things as well. Should they be remaking, rebooting films and TV series? Well, we're going to find out in just a moment, but first, let's hear from our podcast of the week. Yeah, so take it away. 1, 2, 3, 4, take it away.
When it comes to women's healthcare, too often we face limited options and doctors who just don't get it.
I feel at times that I know more than some of the providers I see.
Lady Parts is a new podcast that takes a wide view on women's health. We'll talk about the latest drugs on the market.
Something that is very low risk, but which isn't treating the disease, is just trying to reduce symptoms.
And alternative ways of understanding our bodies.
Women have more yin energy and men have more yang energy. And so that's why it's more common, like for men, to have strokes, have heart attacks. Women are more prone to stuff like fibromyalgia and autoimmune and stuff that's more deficiency related.
We'll also talk policy, where the healthcare system supports us and where it lets us down hard. Nothing is too gross.
I don't want to describe this because some people who like to eat liver might not eat liver after, but I can recall like clumps of blood clots just coming out of me.
And we'll have some fun, too. So that means women can have more sex.
You're not going to deplete your essence.
Listen to Lady Parts with me, Andrea Maraskin, coming October 21st, wherever you get your podcasts.
Dyer's Daily.
Right, let's start the next podcast, shall we? This one in particular. We will be focusing, I think, on this thing. I found this thing, right, and it's to do with movies. So if you're a movie fan, keep listening, because this is something quite interesting. And this is literally just the thought off the top of my head. I thought, I've seen this, I need to tell you about it. And I'm sorry if there are any spoilers. If you don't want to know when Disney films are being released next year, do not listen. I am not having emails from people saying, you ruined it for me, you made it bad, you ruined The Lion King or Dumbo for me. I am not having that because, you know, some people don't want to know when things are, but I just find this really interesting. And it's not exactly when things are for me, it's what it is. Okay, so I've seen this image for next year, for 2019. In March, there's a new Captain Marvel movie coming out. Okay, superhero movie, fine. Early in the year, fair enough. March the 29th, about, 21 days later, we have Dumbo, a remake of the classic Disney film, which, to be honest, don't even get me started on these live-action remakes of Disney films. I don't particularly see the reason why they should be doing it. It's literally just cashing in on nostalgia, because they're never going to hold a candle to the originals, in my opinion. I mean, the fact that they're a cartoon makes them good, and are they really aimed at children? I mean, I saw The Jungle Book, the newer one, in the cinema, and I did think, I wouldn't take my child to this. You know, who is it aimed at? Is it aimed at the nostalgia market or the kids market? Who are they making it for now? So in May, there's seemingly another Avengers movie by the looks of it. I'm not really into that, so we'll skip past that. You know, that's fine. And then in May, late May, once more, there is the new Aladdin movie, which again Why remake it? They made Aladdin, 27 years ago, something like that, 26 years ago. You're never going to get better than Robin Williams as the genie. The guy was the genie. And I don't really see why we need to remake. In fact, every one of the things on this list appears to be a remake or a reboot of an old franchise or just something that is familiar. Okay, so then we skip forward to June, and we've got Toy Story 4. Now, I think 3 ended perfectly. 3 ended perfectly. It rounded it all off. Leave it there. I cried in the cinema. I thought it was wonderful. Leave it at that. But no, they keep bringing these things back. Some of the cast who were the voices of these things are now no longer with us, and I do hope that before some of them died, they had the opportunity to record lines for this movie, because Mr. Potato Head and characters like that need to have a voice in it. But I still really don't see the reason why they had to make a sequel. Okay, so the big one really, the film, I mean, if I was to ask you, which is the Disney film that should never, under any circumstances, ever be remade, because it's just such a classic. Okay, if you were going to say before 1980, because that's really when the real classic Disney things were, you'd say something like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You don't even have to think. That is an absolute classic. I should never touch it. That and maybe Bambi for close second, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. I mean, they made a sequel to it a few years ago, if you remember rightly, and they made sequels to a lot of things. Disney seem to go through these fads. They go through these things. How can we keep refreshing our old movies? Let's release them on DVD. Let's release them on Blu-ray. Let's release them on VHS and call it limited edition. Let's make sequels to all of our classic things. And really, if you were to say post-1980, things that should never, ever see the light of day in terms of being remade, it has to be The Lion King. Never should The Lion King have been remade, but it's been remade and it's being released in July of next year. Okay, there will be plenty of people that are excited about this, and I get that. It's part of a franchise that we've all grown up with, we all love so much, and it's really, really appreciated. Everybody loves it. Everyone loves The Lion King. The music, the voices, everything. But here is the but. Why are we remaking such a classic? If it's so good, I mean, why are we doing that? I'll tell you what, let's get a painter to paint something and then get him to repaint it, but with a slightly different edge a few years later. I mean, okay, it doesn't replace the original painting, but it does seem a tad pointless. I do wonder, I mean, Disney started just by adapting other works, things going into bits and pieces. There's always that quote that goes around, isn't it, that Walt Disney never had any original ideas. Now, he was a genius when it came to animation, but a lot of the stories are traditional stories passed down from other generations and from different countries. Everything from Pinocchio to The Lion King to The Jungle Book, of course. They're all Alice in Wonderland. They're all adapted from different works, and so it kind of makes it. But surely there are millions of stories out there and millions of things that have been written over the years. Why couldn't they just do that, keep adding to stuff rather than just kind of filling up? It feels like they're kind of adding to an already gas tank rather than them building a brand new one and watching that go. Why can't they just keep building? I mean, they've got Frozen, and I know that they're making a Frozen 2. That's fair enough, because it's kind of, that's a sequel. I don't really have much problem with a sequel. I do think that some sequels can come a little bit too late in a film franchise's career. Sometimes it can be up to 5-10 years, but I guess when a film is first released, they don't really know the kind of effect it's going to have, and it become a cult classic. I mean, if you think about things like Star Trek, they made movies years after the TV series because it started to gain in popularity. But going back to the Disney thing, they have a history of making stuff that is based off their stuff. It's kind of like the whole Doctor Who thing. They used to come up with original ideas, or at least ideas that were bound in original thought, and now they occasionally just make ideas based off their own things. It's like they base something off something, now they're basing something off that. It's mind-bending. It's mind-bending. And they did it in the 90s with their TV cartoons. Most of their TV cartoons in the 90s, apart from things like Recess and The Weekenders and Lloyd in Space, were based off of already existing products. And, you know, that made it into other things. They made them into video games. It's been so kind of... They find franchises and they stick with them wholeheartedly. The only thing I don't like is when they just completely wipe the slate clean and remake a film. And you know, in some ways, it's going to be kind of shot for shot or with the occasional thing and kind of mixed up. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about this? I always do this in a podcast. I go rambling and then I forget the person that I'm talking to. What do you think of? Do you think that Disney people, you know, the Disney company should keep remaking these things in live action? I mean, they did it with The Jungle Book, they did it with Beauty and the Beast, they did it with Cinderella. Why can't they just leave it alone and try something else? Well, that's my thought for the day. Why can't they leave it alone and try something else? Good. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. This has been the Dyers Daily Podcast. Thank you once again. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe on your favourite podcast provider. And I shall see you same time, same place tomorrow for another podcast. This has been Dyers Daily. My name's been Jamie Dyer. Thank you once again, and bye-bye for now.